We now turn our attention to the second of the four psukim. Vayoreyu oisanu hamitzrim, the Mitzrim did bad to us, vayanunu, and they tortured us, vayitnu oleinu avodah kasha, and they put hard, heavy work upon us. The Haggadah now zeroes in on the different parts of the pasuk to explain them. The Haggadah explains that what does it mean, Vayoreyu oisanu hamitzrim, that the Mitzrim did bad to us. We explain that that's referring to that which the Egyptians conspired against us. Havan eschak baloi, the pasuk says in the beginning of Parshas Shemais, let us plan, let us outsmart them. Pen yirbe, maybe the Jewish people will become numerous. V'hoyaki sikvenu milchama, and if there will be a war, they will join together with our enemies. V'nilcham banu, and they will fight against us. V'olam min haaretz, and they'll go up from the land. The simple explanation of this is that Paro gathered together his nation, and together they planned a way to deceive the Jewish people, to somehow fool them and convince them to become their slaves. However, Reb Shaul Kagan Zatzal, the founding Rosh Kollel of the Pittsburgh Kollel, suggests an alternate explanation. He says that Paro knew that his plan to enslave the Jewish people wouldn't go over so well to the Egyptians. He understood his plan was unjust, it was irrational. What did the Jewish people do to the Egyptians that they deserved to be enslaved to them? Did they ever do anything bad to them? Quite the contrary. Yosef, who was the father of the Jewish people, he helped the Egyptians in the time of the famine. He saved the entire land of Egypt from the years of famine. If anything, the Egyptians owed a debt of gratitude to Yosef and to the Jewish people. So how could he possibly convince his nation to go along with his plan to enslave the Jewish people? They would never listen. So Paro knew that the only way he could be successful was if he fabricated stories about the Jewish people, convinced the Egyptians of all sorts of false things, of all sorts of false sins and crimes that the Jewish people had done or were doing, to convince them that they should indeed go along with his plan to enslave the Jewish people and to torture them through hard work and all sorts of other terrible things. So that's what it means, let us come up with a strategy, let us come up with a plan in a way that we can convince the entire nation the Jewish people are bad and that they deserve to be slaves and they deserve to be tortured. And that's what it means. By they did bad to us, that not only did they do bad to us, they made us into bad people. They said that the Jewish people are bad, they do all sorts of terrible things, and therefore they deserve to be enslaved. Reb Shaul Kagan adds that this is indeed something, it's a battle, that a person fights within himself all the time. Like the Mesil Sisharim, Moshe Chaim Lutzato, and Mesil Sisharim in the beginning of the 3rd chapter, he explains that a person faces this challenge all the time. A person wants to do something, and he realizes that it's not really right, it's not the right thing to do, it's wrong. But somehow he wants to do it, so he starts to convince himself, maybe it's really not so bad. Eventually, he's able to keep on working on this until he's able to convince himself that it's actually a good thing to do. And this is what Paro did. Paro understood that enslaving the Jewish people, it's not right, it's unjust, and it's irrational, and the people wouldn't listen to him. But slowly but surely, he worked on a plan to convince the people that not only is it not bad, but indeed the Jewish people are so bad that they deserve to be enslaved, and it's absolutely the right thing to do. And a person has to know that this is something that he's going to have to encounter all the time, and a person has to be ready for it, and a person has to be ready for the challenge of being able to fight back against the Yetzer Hara who's trying to convince him about bad things being good. A person has to make sure to always analyze his actions and to have it clear in his mind that what's good is good, what's bad is bad, what's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong.